Welcome to Heavy Metal Bake Sale. I'm Prairie Dog.
Special K, and tonight we're going to be reviewing an album. We have Daron Malakian's Scars on Broadway, Dictator. So the new album from Daron Malakian, which is System of a Down's guitarist, if you guys are familiar. This album was actually originally written and recorded in 2012, but they didn't release it until like last week. It was like Friday or something.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting album. So before we get into the tracks, the reason this album took so long to get released was it was actually most of the songs were written for System of a Down. So, but then Serge and the rest of the band couldn't agree on when they should get back together and what direction the band should go into. So Daron sat on this music for an extended period of time, and then eventually he just got tired and figured out. Recently, there's been a lot of news about System. I guess he assumed that System is not going to get back together, so he's just like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to release this album."
Yeah,
and he did, and it's the whole album is very reminiscent of a System of a Down album. The entire album is actually all the instruments are played by Daron, which is kind of interesting. So the guitar, bass, drums, everything, rhythm guitar. Was there any keyboard in there? I don't remember.
I mean,
probably.
Yeah, as a controller at least.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So let's talk about the first track. The first track was the first single off the album, and that's Lives. It was also accompanied by a music video. Prairie Dog, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Lives is a pretty solid opening to the album. It's definitely not the strongest track, but it was a pretty solid intro. And the first thing that you notice when it comes in is it's got kind of a more driving effect than you would see on a lot of System songs, but it's still, you can feel the influences as it goes on. Daron's vocals are pretty good on this.
They're very reminiscent of Mesmerize and Hypnotize.
Yeah.
Just to be expected. With some heavier...
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute. He gets a little heavier on some of the tracks.
I do think it's really important to note on this album, a lot of times when he was sharing vocals with Serge on their previous work, his vocals were very shrill and definitely had this weird kind of I'm the backup guy kind of vibe. But on this album, he actually displays a lot of vocal diversity that we didn't see in their previous work, and really shows his chops that he can sing a lot of different ways. And Lives makes that very clear from the very beginning of the album.
Yeah, and I want to mention the music video just a tad in there. They have a lot of Armenian dancing and stuff in there. It's really cool. Daron has the weirdest freaking facial hair I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was the first thing I noticed in the video because there's a lot of close-up of his face. He has this weird. It's not making fun of him. It looks like he has weird, patchy, like I can't explain it. The weirdest facial hair I've ever seen on a man. It's very disturbing. It's like I don't even know. It's like he glued it pubes to his face. Or
from a distance, I can't tell like what's his mustache and what's his mouth. I mean, really, it's bad.
Yeah, but all right. On to the next song, "Angry Guru." So you like this song a lot, so I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah, totally. "Angry Guru," as Kevin pointed out to me, we were just kind of casually talking about it. It's sort of reminiscent of tracks like "Chicken Stew" from System of a Down or "Vicinity of Obscenity." Just where it's kind of got that random element to it. But I think it's a little different because whereas like you could argue that "Chicken Stew" has no deeper meaning. "Angry Guru" definitely has like...
It has meaning.
Yeah.
But they also use the word poo-poo in the song.
Yeah, "Angry Guru" sitting in his poo-poo. So very, very weird there. But then like the chorus part is like, "Nobody hates you more than I do. Nobody loves me more than you do." And I think that's pretty powerful. So in that way, I appreciate that he brought in that same kind of wacky energy, but still kept it to where it's moving somewhere meaningful.
And we've talked about this. I talked about the song a few times, and I initially didn't like it, but after I read the lyrics and got more into it, I like it despite the poo-poo lyric.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was very reminiscent of like System song on there. So,
but definitely a point you can totally see where like it was expected for Serge and Daron to be harmonized.
You can hear that a lot on this album. Yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
I want to point out that I thought the drums were a little soft. I don't know. I didn't like them. I didn't like the drums per se, but Daron's obviously not a drummer. He's he's a really good guitarist, and the bass is there but barely.
Yeah.
So it's really guitar forward this whole album. But yeah, the drums are. It's fine. It's
I didn't notice.
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
The next song is "Dictator," and that's the single. And this probably was one of the most System of a Down sounding songs that I heard on the entire album. It's a very political song and has a very, very strong finish on the end. Has some nice raw screaming vocals on the end, which I was not expecting.
No.
Because the song doesn't start out super heavy. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not to the level where they take it towards the end. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I thought the song was excellent. I'm not going to say it was my favorite song on the album, but it was really, really close. And the thing that stands out the most, I mean, like, it's a solid, system style track all the way through, but then as he brought up at the end, he goes ahead and lets out some harsh vocals, and that's what I'm talking about. We see a lot of vocal diversity out of Daron in this album because, yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you could get off of like a black metal album or like a real I mean, it was truly energetic. Like, his vocals are fantastic.
It definitely sounded like he really worked hard on this album.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. Skip to the next song, which is track 4, and it's Fucking Kill.
Yeah.
Very, very nice title. It's a very catchy song. Mm-hmm. I will say that. But there's that one part where I swear I thought it was Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers singing.
And
at the end, it wasn't, though. But there's one part of the song where he does this weird thing with his voice, and it sounds like Anthony Kiedis. It really does. I was like, what? And I had to look it up because I thought, did Anthony Kiedis do something on this album or something? It was interesting. It didn't make me hate the song. I was just like, this is just weird. What did you think of it?
That song was a little more droning for me. I've listened to the album 3 times, and every time that song comes around, it's always kind of like, that's one that loses my attention a little bit. It's not bad by any means, but it wasn't something that popped out at me.
The next song is Guns Are Loaded, and this is also more a song that sounds very reminiscent of a System of a Down. It sounds like it's written. It's kind of like it sounds like a lot of songs that would be off Hypnotize or Mesmerize. It sounds like it would be, if it was going to be on an album, it would have been on one of those. And there's this one line in the song. It says, "This is a fucking life." I swear to God, it sounds like it says "lame." And I had to look at, lyrically, I had to look it up, and it says lame. I swear he says lame in the song, but apparently it's life. And when I originally thought it was lame, I thought the song was lame because I was like, who uses the word lame in a song? But after I figured out it was life, I was like, okay, but it still sounds like lame.
I didn't like the song. I thought
that song?
I thought it was a little preachy. It reminded me of System in ways, but it just really, I think it was one of the weakest tracks on the album, personally.
Most of these songs are about the Armenian genocide, so
it's which the band has a history of taking open political stances on and writing songs about. So the next song's Never Forget. I liked it pretty well. I thought it was a pretty good track, but my opinion is not shared with everybody. So Kevin, do you want to go ahead and give your?
Me personally, I thought it was the weakest track on the album. It was kind of like you said. I believe you said "Fucking Kill." Was that the one you didn't like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, it was my "Fucking Kill." So it was kind of there. I thought towards the middle of the album was when it was struggling a little bit. And not bad. It just kind of petered off. And, it kind of stabilized because it was going up, then it hits this. But towards the end, I think it picks back up again, with the exception of one song on there. So. Next song is "Talking Shit."
Yeah. So
very simple titles.
It had an excellent energy to it all throughout, but this was another track that kind of I enjoyed it well enough, and I can listen to this whole album all the way through with no problems. But this is a song that I zone out a little bit more on than others.
Yeah, this song, again, he has this repeating line. It says, the eyes will be jealous, over and over again, and it just sounds like I'm going to be gelling entirely, like the shoe commercial. And again, that's the part where I had to look up the lyrics. And these aren't screaming hard vocals. Daron's very clear for the most part. I guess I don't know if it's a guitar over top of them, but I don't know, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next song I really, really enjoyed. It was called "Till the End." And it has the lyrics, there are some people that are crazy, they're my friends. That really spoke to me, and I just thought it was a good song.
I agree. If you look on here, it was one of my favorites until I listened to a few of the other ones.
Yeah.
So, it was a great song. Let's see here. Next song is "We Won't Obey." It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah.
It was about consumerism and the typical System of a Down, or I guess Scars on Broadway song. There's a lot of bands, especially metal bands, that do songs about consumerism. It's there. It's kind of catchy. It's fine. "Sickening Wars" is the next song, and it's my favorite song on the album. So what did you think of it?
It's not my favorite, but I definitely like it a lot. I think it stands above the herd, and I really have to compliment the instrumentalism on this track.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It was. That's why I was one of the reasons, and also, like I said, it's catchy. It's good. It's obviously about war. It's called War, but yeah, it's a good song. I'm not normally into like super war-y tracks. You know, like normally I don't really like a lot of political stuff, but you'll see it in, like when we do our album picks. Like half the albums I have are very political. Yeah, it's kind of what it is. I'm more into it for the instruments and less in it for the meanings on some music. And this album is, unless you're Armenian, you're not going to get a lot of connection out of it per se. Yeah. So, next song was an instrumental called "Guy Now" or "My Son," and I think they released this. I want to say they released this like in 2012 originally, as like. And that's the only thing that I think they ever released off of it. I think I'm not 100% on that. It was a fine instrumental. It was okay. Yeah. I think some of the work on some of the other songs were better than this instrumental per se, but you know it was there. So the last song on here caught me by surprise because when I heard it, I could have swore it sounded familiar to me, and I couldn't figure out why. And it turns out it's a cover, and it's not credited, at least on the album that I have. It's not credited on there, but it's "Assimilate," and it's a Skinny Puppies cover. So if you know the Skinny Puppies are, like in a kind of like an '80s industrial band, very very interesting band. I really like this song. It was probably the heaviest song on the album. The original song is not that heavy. Mm-hmm. So it's very, like I said, it's very Ministry-esque. But this album, like this song, he made it really heavy. There's a lot of rough screaming vocals. Almost the entire album, which is surprising to hear from Daron. And it's nice to see that side of him, some passion in his voice. Yeah. Not saying that his clean vocals are not good.
They're fine.
That's all. I'm so used to his clean vocals from Hypnotize and Mesmerize. It's nice to hear him gets aggressive.
He certainly filled a niche role when he was on Mesmerize and Hypnotize, obviously because he was sharing with Serge. And that's what I love about this album. We get to really see him show off his chops and show that he can sing so many different ways. And I swear, there are times where I feel like he mimics Serge so well. Like there are points where he definitely sounds like, okay, well, this guy's not going to sing on it. Well, then I'm going to sing it myself. Watch me.
It's so disappointing. And he mentioned, and I was watching interviews, him talking about this album. He's like, yeah, I'm hoping this will like curb some of the System fans' appetite because, you know, y'all know it's not happening. Yeah. He's like, I'm just as disappointed as all the fans are. And, you know, that's why this album is there. He's like, he wants to appease the System fans. So I guess that's why he didn't feel the need to, like, change it up a lot.
Yeah, I'll be frank. I've been a System fan for over 10 years. I became a System fan right after their hiatus began. And, you know, I spent all of high school hoping that they would get back together and make another album. And it just didn't happen. And at this point, you know, 10 years later, when I hear that, they're not going to do the System of a Down album, it's hard for me to care because they're so irrelevant now.
It was, I started listening to him, the first song I ever heard was right before 9/11. It was right before 9/11 happened. I was on a field trip, and I was in 8th grade, and I heard Toxicity play on the radio, and that was the last time I heard that song because they didn't play it on the radio after that. But I got heavily into System at that point. Yeah, it's the same thing. You wait and wait for the System album, and and then you have one specific band member. They say it's a quarter between all of them. The way it sounds, it's mostly... I'm speculating. It sounds like Serge to me, but...
Well, and there's actually been a really interesting update on that, which just happened like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. You know, over the course of this hiatus, you've heard a lot of statements from Daron. You've heard nothing from Shavo, a little bit from John, and importantly, nothing from Serge directly about this until about 2 weeks ago on his Facebook page. He actually posted his first comment addressing everything. And if you're really interested in this dispute, I really urge you to go check it out. If it's not still up, I'm sure somebody archived it somewhere.
I think Loudwire did an article about it.
Yeah. So, but it shows the conflict kind of from a different side. And if you listen to Daron and John, the way they're going to spin it is, you know, Serge is kind of being a punk. He doesn't want to do this music anymore, and he doesn't appreciate his position. If you listen to Serge, then he tells a very different tale where he claims that Daron was very controlling, that finances weren't divvied evenly, and even goes on to say that he never wanted to do Mesmerize or Hypnotize because the songs were 90% done by Daron, and that wasn't by his choice.
But that was, I think, majority, with the exception of their first album, I think majority of those a majority of the songs were already written by Daron anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Serge is really into doing his poetry and making Armenian coffee right now. As opposed to doing system.
He certainly has some frivolous ventures, but I think it's important to note, Serge has had a very successful solo career. So for him to say that he has an issue with him bringing songs to the table and them being ignored, I think that's a problem, because he proved with Elect the Dead and Perfect Harmonies, Harakiri, that he can write fantastic music himself.
Sure.
And if this band isn't working together with him, I can't blame him for not wanting to work with them.
All right, so overall, let's rate this album. Yes, a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, but it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a system."
Yeah, we know that.
Like we all know that. I mean, like some people, it's much better than the first album. I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
So, would I rate this overall? I don't think there's any particularly like bad tracks on it. There's some weak ones, but even weak, they're not bad by any means. So that being said, we didn't mention the most important part that pissed me off. So I went to buy this album on Amazon. I used to buy it at a local, but there's no really where to buy local albums anymore. So
yeah.
I went to buy this album, and they don't have a CD of this album. They have it digitally, and they have a vinyl. They have no CD in any way, shape, or form. And then the vinyl, if you buy the vinyl, you get the digital copy for free, and the vinyl is $2 more than the digital copy.
Well, see, that's where, when he told me about it, he was like, "Hey, you can't get a CD of this." And I was like, "What? Well, that's horrible." And then he told me you can get a vinyl. So that just says to me, like, obviously production was not an issue.
Yeah.
Because you can put out if you can put out a fucking vinyl, you can put out a CD.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So if Ghosts, we'll mention this on if Ghosts can put their CD on a tape, on a cassette tape, their brand new album, like.
You can't bother to put it on a CD.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take an entire point off for that, because it's frustrating for me personally, because I'm a collector of CDs. Vinyls, I don't mind a vinyl every once in a while, but they're difficult.
Yeah.
So they're more difficult than CDs. With CDs, I can take it, I can get my physical copy, burn it, and then keep my copy in the car. If I fuck it up, all well, I'll just burn another copy. You can do that with digital, but it's not the same. You back in the day, you look at the artwork while you're listening to the album. It's one-on-one. Anyway. So that being said, I'm going to give this album a 7.5. I enjoyed it. It's good. It's going towards great range. If it had a CD, it probably would have been in that great range for me. But overall, it's a really good album. This appeals to the System fans, and that's who this is going to be. If you're not a System fan, then you're not going to like this. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I'm only going to take off a half point for not having a CD available. I despise vinyls. I don't buy vinyls. I think they're frivolous, and a lot of times, I'm not going to get into that. But I prefer CDs, and I am upset that they don't have one. But a lot of aging artists are facing the problem of the death of albums, and they all are very vocal about that. So for them to not put out a CD isn't necessarily surprising. It just upsets me that he had the nerve to put out a vinyl but not a CD. So half a point off there. I'm going to go ahead and rate it at a 7. I think that this album does a lot of good stuff, and overall, it's a really great offering, especially from Daron. To be quite frank, the first Scars on Broadway album was very disappointing. We thought, okay, cool, well, maybe we'll get something that's like System, and really, I don't know what it was supposed to cater to, but this album fixes that. I mean, you can definitely see that he's catering to his audience there. It shows off a vocal range that we didn't think Daron was really capable of, and I loved that. But as Kevin said, it's very guitar driven. So bass and drums, I didn't notice them throughout the whole album.
They aren't there.
Really, yeah. They're not bad. They're fine, but
you can hear the drums. The drums are weak, like I said, and the bass is like it's kind of sort of there. Like it's definitely there, but you can't really make it out. You know what I mean?
But the point is, when we were talking about this casually, I just said, this album probably would have been a real hit had it come out 15 years ago.
If it came out in 2012, it probably would have been more relevant.
More relevant, but even then, that's my only real criticism with it. I think the songs are all constructed very well, and I think he performs so well vocally, so much better than we thought he would. But the music is dated, and that scene has evaporated.
It is, but at least some of the music, the lyric, at least it works for the political climate currently in the U.S. Some of the lyrics do, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's most System lyrics. So musically it does. It sounds like 2005. Yeah, but it's cool with me. Like I like that. That was my peak music listening, so it's fine for me. But somebody who's younger might not.
No, they're not going to mess with this.
All right, well, that's been our episode. If you'd like to see us review an album, you can leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm Special K.
And I'm Prairie Dog.
Thanks for watching.